Welcome back, everybody. Again, this is your host, OC from Bamcomix, jumping into the season finale of Season 2 of The Mandalorian. The Rescue, Chapter 16 was amazing, guys! Listen, this episode was just, it broke all types of, in my mind, like, it just broke the mold, okay? This episode was so great. If you guys haven't watched it yet, this is gonna be spoilers, okay? So make sure you've seen it. And then this episode was simply incredible. So let's jump into it. And if you like our content, please subscribe, hit those notifications. 5 out of 5 star episode, guys. This one was just like, this whole season was 5 out of 5 stars, with the exception of that, episode in the cave, with all the spiders and stuff like that. I thought that was a weak one, but everything else, that it was amazing. So I give it 5 out of 5 stars. This episode was bon appetito. I loved it, and it was just the greatest, the best, just how Star Wars is supposed to be. The music, the sound, the costumes, everything on point. This is the way you do Star Wars, guys. This is real lore, real world building, real Star Wars. And let's just jump into it, alright? So this episode, The Rescue, we start off in space. The Slave One is chasing down an Imperial cruiser, and in this cruiser we have a scientist. He seems to know a lot about Grogu, the child, the inner workings of this species. And we know that Mando's on Slave One, and he needs to have a continued lead on Moff Gideon to get the child back. Now, Mando, he's so methodical in his process. He gathers the right people for the job. He gathers the right intel. And when he's ready to strike. Okay? So, we basically see Slave One swoop in, and Boba Fett, with his advanced targeting systems, is just shooting the crap out of this Imperial transport that has the scientist, right? So, boom. Cara Dune is on board, and as soon as they're gonna take the scientist out, one of the pilots that's an Imperial shoots his co-pilot and grabs the scientist and holds him hostage and saying, look, you can't kill this scientist. This is a top value target of the New Republic, and once you kill him, you guys are done for, so you're gonna have to let me go. He starts trying to troll Cara Dune by talking about the planet of Alderaan that was destroyed by the Death Star. And he's like, I was on the Death Star and your planet got destroyed. And he's kind of like, he's pushing Cara Dune to make a mistake. Well, that's bad move, because Cara Dune's a gunslinger. You don't know about the Marshal. Whips out her gun, shoots the guy right in the head. But the writing in this episode is very strong. And Favreau, man, he built the tension in that scene just in a few minutes. This episode is about 45 to 46 minutes long, and it is chock full of action non-stop, guys. This is a 5-star episode. So, when Cara Dune, it's like Jon Favreau brings back that old Star Wars flavor. So when you see the argument between the pilot and, the pilot's trying to, push Cara Dune to make a mistake so he could escape. I don't know why the pilot would do that. It was dumb in the first place, but he tried, he was evil, and Cara Dune, she just shot him and burnt off the ear of the scientist. The scientist is like, oh man, but Cara Dune is such a sharpshooter. So basically after that, they land on this planet, and Boba Fett and Mando still need, they need people to their cause, right? Mando's collecting the best people. So he reaches Bo-Katan and her sidekick at a cantina. I say sidekick, I don't know really her name, but she's at a cantina with this sidekick. Bo-Katan is there, and Bo-Katan and the sidekick of Bo-Katan get into it with Boba, and you see both of these Mandalorians in a little tussle, and Bo-Katan is like, guys, you gotta stop infighting. If we showed half that fight against the Empire, we would still have our home world. So it was just crazy to see that, you know, even Boba Fett, with the history that he has, as long as you're a Mandalorian, whether it be you're a man or a woman or whatever, you always still have that same skill level. So they were pretty evenly matched when they whipped out their flamethrowers. And I was like, man, these Mandalorians are just so badass, you know? So they get in the ship, Slave One, and they devise a plan with the stolen Imperial ship. They're going to use that to board Moff Gideon's cruiser. Now, it's always a similar theme in Star Wars. It's a staple by now that if you want to infiltrate the Imperial ranks, all you gotta do is A, put on a Stormtrooper outfit, or B, just hijack an Imperial cruiser and try to infiltrate that way, or Imperial ship, anything that's Imperial, a TIE fighter, anything. Just use one of those and you're basically in the base, right? So they do the same thing. So, but this time, they play it a little bit more cleverly. Both of the parties that are on both of the ships, they know that they have to infiltrate Moff Gideon's cruiser. So, Boba Fett in his Slave One pretends to shoot the cruiser that Boba Fett are on and these guys are on to get into the ship. Now, when they get the sidekick and the Bo-Katan onto the ship with the scientist begins to tell them that, okay, you're kind of like underestimating the defensive capabilities of Moff Gideon's cruiser, because every time they're gonna do a heist, they do a plan before it. So, and this episode is no different. It was an amazing episode. They always plan it out before they do it. And the scientist is telling them there is a garrison of dark troopers on board, and these were the ones that took the child. Mando's is like, okay, so like, how many of these things are? What are they? Like, what's it looking like? Does it look like bad? And the scientist tells him that these are third generation dark troopers that basically have more capabilities than a human being. It's not a suit, so they're advanced. And we saw how advanced they were in the tragedy when they swooped down and took the child from the sacred Force Stone, right? So these guys are bad news, and the fact that there is like a whole, I think in the beginning they mentioned that it was a garrison of them, then later a platoon, but I would say maybe 50 of these things, maybe more, maybe 50, 60 of these dark troopers. Okay, basically, long story short, Boba Fett swoops down, you know, the starship, pretending to be Imperial, you know, goes into Moff Gideon's transport. So the stormtroopers are attacking, and they're the distraction, okay? So now, Bo-Katan and Cara Dune and her sidekick and everyone going the direction of the stormtroopers, they're distracted, and while they're distracted in the fighting, Mando goes out and he's on the ship, and now he's going to try to look for the child. So both of them, they split up. Bo-Katan and her group, they're taking care of the stormtroopers. The stormtroopers are falling one by one by one. It's very easy work for Bo-Katan and Cara Dune and Fennec to take care of all of these stormtroopers. It's not even a contest, okay? They get to the bridge, they kill everybody on the bridge. They're hoping to see Moff Gideon on the bridge. When he's not there, they're like, well, where is he? Moff Gideon is away in another part of the ship. Boba is looking for Grogu, and as he rounds a corner, Moff Gideon, who already knew all of this was gonna happen, as soon as Moff Gideon saw Bo-Katan killing all of these people on the screens, he ordered the dark troopers to be activated. So as Mando was rounding the corner, the double doors open and one of these dark troopers comes out and escapes, okay? Mando manages to hit the button to close the doors because they were all about to come out. Now, there's a fight between the dark trooper and Mando. These dark troopers are amazing, guys. These dark troopers, I'm thinking, okay, this is the threat that the Empire represents. Now, the dark trooper, it's like a whole other level. There's no human, it's not a suit, it's an advanced droid. but like it's the Dark Troopers on another level. So it comes out and Mando is fighting with it, but not really fighting. It's a one-sided fight as the Dark Troopers just taking Mando and throwing him around like a rag doll. And Mando has a Beskar spear and he's, you know, trying to fight with this thing. This Dark Trooper takes Mando and starts punching him in the head. I'm like, oh my god. A testament to Beskar. Like, Beskar is probably just like, why don't we just say it's the same thing that they made Captain America's shield from? You know, but you have the adamantium, and then you have what Captain America's shield is made of, and then you have Beskar, and Beskar is very strong. So as the droid is punching Mando in the head, you can see his whole head going into the wall. It was crazy. I mean, director Peyton Reed, who did Ant-Man, is just at the top of his game with this one. It's like, wow, that was a crazy image to see. So Mando eventually overpowers the Dark Trooper, uses the Beskar spear, but man, it took him a long time. And then he pressed the button, he took the lever, he pushed it down, and then the airlock opened and all of these Dark Troopers just flooded out into space. And then I was like, oh man, like such a good troopers already wasted. Just like you only showed us one, and that one was crazy. So they got flushed out into space. And then Mando rounds the corner and he sees, you know, the doors open up. You see Moff Gideon and you see Grogu. And he's holding the Darksaber. And so they get into a little exchange of words. Moff Gideon, the mental tactician. Moff Gideon is basically telling him, you know, I have no beef with you. You could take the child. I just wanted its blood. I wanted to test it. That's about it. You could take it. Mando falls for the bait of Moff Gideon. And Moff Gideon proceeds to assault him with the Darksaber, trying to kill him. But it's crazy how they show the Darksaber interact with Beskar. Not even the Darksaber can cut through Beskar. So Mando's pretty good. Eventually he overpowers Moff Gideon, but the fight between Mando and Moff was just great. I mean, there was a swordplay. Moff couldn't do anything technically against Mando because of his Beskar, but Mando wrapped him up in a wire. Moff cut it. It was just nuts. And then they had that Star Wars music of the duel. It was just amazing. This episode was better than all of Disney's sequel movies, the sequel trilogy, all of that stuff. Like, this is real Star Wars. Like, the mood, the tension, everything was just awesome. That fight was spectacular. I loved it. Eventually he overpowered him, but that's not where the surprises end, right? Because now he has Grogu or everything like that. But as he brings Moff Gideon to the bridge, Mando hands the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. This is the thing that Bo-Katan's been wanting all of this time. She's wanted to be the ruler of Mandalore, and now with the Darksaber she can do it. Unfortunately, Moff Gideon, the tactician, the mental... See, Moff, he works on a mental level, right? He knew, okay, I'm gonna lose the Darksaber. Here's the Darksaber. Mando's like, here, take it. Moff Gideon is like, well, Mando, I got a surprise for you. You might have the Darksaber, but now this is not gonna go the way you wanted it to go. Bo-Katan cannot accept the Darksaber, and Moff explains that the only way you can win it is through combat, which, after Mando concedes, is still not enough. There has to be blood shed. So there's this tense confrontation with the two of these guys, which I'm thinking, uh-oh, Bo-Katan or Mando, they're gonna fight right there on the bridge, and this guy Moff Gideon is gonna get away. Well, just at the point where they were gonna fight, the Dark Troopers come out, and there's an extra layer of tension there between the two, between everyone on the bridge, and between the incoming threat of the Dark Troopers. So you see these Dark Troopers are stomping in, and I'm like, yo, my mind exploded. Let's talk about that, guys. Let's talk about the fact that even though they got flushed out of the airlock, right, and I'm thinking, that's it, we won't see no more Dark Troopers, guess who comes in? They're being boarded. We're being boarded. Beep, 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 beep. We're being boarded. We're being boarded. Who is it? Who is it? We're being boarded. Are they living organisms? No, they breached the ray shields. Who are they? The Dark Troopers. And one by one, you see rows and rows of these Dark Troopers that have these super booster jetpacks in their feet fly back in through the ray shields and onto Moff Gideon's cruiser. So it's like 20, 30, 40, 50, it's a whole bunch of them. And they're right at the doors in the bridge. The bridge doors are sealed, but they're just preparing for a frontal assault. And you see these guys in front, these Dark Troopers in front of the door, and they're hammering the door, hammering the door, hammering the door. And you see the door slowly giving way. And man, it looks like all of them are gonna be dead. Moff Gideon's like, the child and I are the only people here that are gonna live. And so Moff Gideon, he has an ace up his sleeve. That's why I call him the mental tactician, because he always has tactics, mental maneuvers to get out of situations. And there's actually a blaster lying by his side that he covered with his cape. So, you know, I'm telling you, man, it's looking bad for our heroes. But all of a sudden, what do we see out the corner of our eye, out the corner window of this cruiser? You see one solo X-Wing. Like, that X-Wing, it was just like that. It's like one solo X-Wing. And, you know, Cara Dune is commenting on it. It's like, yeah, one X-Wing. Big deal, right? It's just one X-Wing. It's just one X-Wing, guys. Don't worry, we're still gonna die. Okay, we've seen X-Wings before on the show. It's probably a New Republic pilot. They want to know what's going on. Whatever. I'll tell you something. I should have put 2 and 2 together when I saw that X-Wing. Because when I first saw it, I was just like, it's just an X-Wing, okay? I've seen X-Wings on the show several times, so I wasn't expecting anything. And then out comes this hooded figure. And again, you know, it's another kind of like psych out that Favreau does. Maybe to you guys it was obvious, but to me, I saw the hooded figure first, and I just thought, well, in my mind, I thought, oh, that's Ahsoka. You know, we've seen her before. Ahsoka's gonna be back again, okay? So that was the second psych out. The first psych out was the X-Wing. The second psych out was Ahsoka. But then you see another clue. And you see the green lightsaber, right? And you see this green lightsaber, and it's just like he's doing moves. He's just like, and I'm like, I see another clue. I see a glove. Okay, I see a glove. So I see a glove, and I see force powers. He's like this, you know, and droof like that. But like you don't see his face. He's like this. Like that, you know, and he's swinging, and he's decapitating, and he's using force powers, and he's just like destroying all of these Dark Troopers. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, guys. Who could this be? Could this be who I'm thinking? Could this be the Master? Could this be the Return of the Jedi? And lo and behold, guys, Jon Favreau in the last act of this episode of season 2 pulls out a hat trick. He pulls out this like magic, and lo and behold, the doors open because Mando's like, oh, who's this? Everyone's nervous. They're like, Cara Dune, you gonna let him in? That's crazy. Look how many people he killed. Right? Look how many droids he killed. You're gonna let him in? Mando, open the doors. Mando's like, open the doors. Open the doors. Doors open. And lo and behold, Master Luke Skywalker. And you know what? Big shout out to the effects people at Lucasfilm and the ranch for putting together this beautiful composite face of Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker from the Return of the Jedi. This was the real Return of the Jedi, but the Return of the Jedi, he's all in black. So now it's like the Mandalorian bridges, like the old films, the prequels, the sequels. It gives more of a backstory to everything. He goes on to tell Mando, you know, and Luke lifts his hood up. You see, it's Luke Skywalker, and Mando tells him he doesn't want to go with you. And when they put Grogu down, we see R2-D2 come from behind Luke, and it's kind of like, wow, okay, now we have R2 in here. And Favreau is just having fun in this script. Favreau is like, this is like a little kid's dream come true here. Just, you know, watching Star Wars and then growing up to write Star Wars and direct your own series of Star Wars. It's just very inspirational to the new generation of people who think that you can add more to the stories. I mean, you know, you see C-3PO there, and it's just like all of the old memories and nostalgia of the old Star Wars. And as they're leaving, like, you see that Jon Favreau does something that's like a staple of all of the old Star Wars movies, is that when the Star Wars movies ends, they just like, they stay on this one shot for an extended period of time. It's like in A New Hope, right? When they're just like looking off into like the sun, and there's like two suns or whatever. He stays on this shot, and Favreau shows Luke and R2-D2 and Grogu in an elevator, and you see that the doors close and the episode ends. And it was like amazing how he stayed on that shot of Luke, Grogu, and R2, and then as soon as the doors close, the episode finished. And after it's finished, we're treated to some credits, but they're missing the art, and you always want to stay to see those production artworks. We see we get a treat, we see a little teaser of what Disney has upcoming in the future for Star Wars. The Book of Mando, the Book of Boba. Okay, what you see is like, you see Boba coming into the old palace of Jabba the Hutt and basically exterminating everybody, and the guy who's sitting on the throne, who was Jabba's right-hand man or second in command, is telling him, "Oh, Boba, good to see you. I thought you were dead. We heard a lot of rumors. How do you survive?" and all of that. Boba just, you know, completely he reclaims his throne basically at the end of that. And you know, it's basically Boba Fett or Fennec. Fennec, they're on the throne of the underworld. So it looks like Book of Boba is coming out, and that's gonna introduce us to the underworld of Star Wars, which is always such a fascinating subject. But guys, that was our review of the last episode of Mandalorian. This was our review of the last episode of Mandalorian. 5 out of 5 star episodes. And if they don't continue Mando after this, if this is the last episode of the Mandalorian, that's it, there's no more Mandalorian. They ended it on a perfect note, guys. They ended it as a masterpiece. It doesn't need season 3 or season 4 or whatever. Let's just continue to travel to new galaxies and meet new characters in Star Wars. This has been OC. Have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas to you guys, and a happy new year. May the force be with you. Peace.